What's up, folks? I'm Karama, aka the Blerd Girl, and welcome to the Blerd Girl Live. Now, I hope everyone is staying sane this week and that none of you are watching this from Buckingham Palace. Tonight, my guests are actress, host, and RPG gamer and player Aliza Pearl, and followed by cosplay gamer and fitness expert Alicia Marie Body. And if things look a little bit different around here today, that's because I am also joined by an ASL interpreter team from Premium Geek, JP and Ebony. So starting us off tonight is JP. Hi. So my first guest is Aliza Pearl. Now, Aliza it's really funny because I know Aliza as a Trekkie, but she's so much more than that. Aliza is an actress. She is a host. And she is also if you heard her recently, she was also on Women of Warp. She's one of my favorite people. Excuse me. And Aliza is one of those gamers that if you are a tabletop RPG gamer, then you've definitely seen her on. Actually, you've seen her on a bunch of things. You've seen her on. Actually, I just lost all of her information. I'm so sorry, Aliza. Hang on a second. He's doing so much better than I am. I am so sorry, Aliza. I'm actually just going to bring you in and let you introduce yourself because I just ruined that so badly. So, welcome to the show, Aliza Pearl. I'm so sorry. All of your notes
It's
went away
all
from me. So,
good.
we're going to start this again and say, I know you're a tabletop RPG player. I know you're an actress, and I know you're a professional geek. What I was trying to get to was the name of your show. What is the tabletop RPG gaming show that you have here on Twitch?
I have two right now. One of them is a weekly Cortex RPG live play with rotating GMs, and that's called Roll and Keep. That's over on Fandom Tabletop. And then the other one that I GM regularly is a monthly Klingon game over on Q Times, and that's called Blood of the Void.
That's the one. And then where did you do your own Klingon cooking show?
That's just on my Instagram, basically.
Got it. Okay.
And
Well,
my Twitter. Yeah.
the first question I always ask every guest when they come on the show is what they're geeking out about and what is keeping them sane in all of this crazy. So I'm going to need you to
Oh goodness.
tell me what all the things that you're playing and watching and geeking out over.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I okay, definitely was on the WandaVision train and still am. I feel like I've rewatched it like 4 times at this point. Um very, very got that. I think that definitely kept me sane. It was nice to have like a weekly touch point to come and just like look forward to every week. It's been a while since we've had that, I feel like. For me, the
It
last
has.
thing that was weekly was like Star Trek Discovery and The Expanse. Like, so it's been at least a few months since those, or actually, I guess the Expanse is still on, but clearly I'm not caught up.
Well,
Um,
no, I mean, I think
yeah.
the season is over, so you're not wrong.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah, so there was a little gap between The Expanse and WandaVision for me, and so now, yeah, it was nice to have a weekly thing to come to. And yeah, what else is keeping? What am I playing? I'm still building my PC. It's embarrassing, but I started building it early February and then took a long, like 3 week pause. I just haven't finished building it. So I plan to finish that and start playing sci-fi games like Star Trek Online and No Man's Sky and basically any sci-fi game I can get my hands on. Um, but I play. I've been playing Apple games
Have
like
you really? I haven't played any of
yeah.
those.
Yeah, I signed up for I got the like a 3 month free trial, and so I'm just kind of like playing around with them. I loved this game called Creeks, which is kind of like an adventure puzzle game. Not
Mhm.
puzzles like match three type of puzzles, but you're moving through this world and you have to like figure out how to get past these guard dogs and like these certain little teeny monster things. And it's beautifully animated and the music is great. It was like when I played through Geek Creeks in like 4 days, and it felt like just slipping into this little world for hours and hours on end.
I have talked about that with Spiritfarer. I can just kind of like disappear into
Ooh.
that. That I play on the PS4 though, but
Mhm.
Spiritfarer is one of my favorites. The people in the chat, good evening. Thank you, JD Hayes. What's up, D3UC3er? Rexus092. He said, yeah, Puerto Rican Trekkie. I am mad at him.
Hell yeah!
he,
Wepa!
yep.
Boricua! Sorry.
He 90 says hello, Aliza. And
Hello!
Oh, and he's also saying, hope your interview goes well. Oh, thank you. She's going to do
Thank you.
great. It's my system that's shutting down.
Oh no.
So, we definitely, I want to talk about more about WandaVision. We're going to come back to that though, because what we're going to start with is the lowdown. So getting into the lowdown this week, one of the first things I got to talk about is I actually want to. Actually, let me ask you a question. Which would you like to talk about first, Harry and Meghan or WandaVision?
Oh, okay. Let's just get Harry and Meghan out of the way.
All right. All right. And we were debating this, guys. Everybody in the chat, we were debating this because I am out of wine in my house right now. I forgot. I need to stock up. And I sat down to watch Harry and Meghan last night, and I couldn't get it past the first 20 minutes rather, without a glass of wine. So I had to just shut the whole thing off and just go watch Ghost in the Shell, which is my go-to anime when I'm upset. So for anybody who has watched the Harry and Meghan interview, that's what we're sort of about to get into right now. So I do know the broad strokes. I do know the fact that Harry hates his family. That's not new. I do know the fact that they've been treating Meghan like an actual Black girl. Got that.
Yep.
I do understand that Piers Morgan, the British reporter, is a terrible human being. Got that.
Yep.
But what is this I'm hearing about Tyler Perry? Like they stayed with Medea? What happened?
Yes. So when they had left the royal family, they had left England, and they were like, oh, we're going to step back and do like part-time royal duty, not be senior family members. And so they left. They went to Canada first. This was like before the pandemic. And while they were in Canada, they were staying at just at a friend's house. It was probably a rich friend too, like a nice house, but it wasn't secure, I guess, because they had their own security at that point. They were still part of the royal family. And then during that time in Canada, two things happened. Number one, they pulled their security. So the royal family was like, you know what? Good luck to you. We're not going to protect you anymore. And so they pulled their security. And I think that was also when, after that happened, Harry and Meghan were like, wait, word? Are you seriously not even going to keep us safe anymore? So then they were like fully out. They decided to just be like, okay, we're done. We're not going to do this anymore. And then the pandemic happened, and they were like, oh, snap, our country's about to get shut down, closed down, borders and stuff. So they decided to come to LA. I'm in LA. I said, come to LA. And they say with their
I was going to say, are they at your
Tyler
house?
Perry.
They're at your house. They came
over to my house. Yes, we're up here in Santa Barbara, you know, with my friends Harry and Meghan and little Archie. I'm their nanny. But yeah, that's how it happened. So they came, when they came down to LA, they didn't have anywhere to live, so they stayed with Tyler Perry for a few months while they found their mansion in Santa Barbara.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? So like, it's so weird to me too. Like, she and Meghan is not best friends, but like she's good friends with Serena Williams. Like, it's just such an interesting, this part of the royal family truly feels like ours in terms of like this country's, and also Black people. Is like, it feels like this is the part of the royal family that I personally do relate to more and am more interested in. I was interested in Diana and how how that all went down. But honestly, besides Diana and Meghan and this whole drama, I could care less about British royalty. I don't care. I only watched season 4 of The Crown because I didn't care about anyone else.
Because you didn't care.
Diana.
Well,
I didn't care.
I'm really confused by a lot of the, not just speculation, but a lot of the people online. I see stuff on Twitter where people are really surprised. And I'm like, why are you surprised that England, the country that, I don't know,
the country that brought you slavery.
That's what I'm saying. Brought to you by slavery. The country that colonized most of Africa and a lot of the world. would not want any Black people in their bloodline. And people are like, oh, I can't believe they would say something like that. This is generational. It's written somewhere, like in their family line, like in the equivalent of somebody's profile page in 1847. It is written. Nobody in this family will ever marry anybody Black or that is not of European descent.
And it was,
so it's just
entirely unheard of. Even up until Meghan, it was entirely unheard of for a British royal to marry someone of color, someone Black or of any other background besides white.
Well, what's interesting about it is when Diana left Charles, the man she was dating,
Yes,
I thought was of North African descent.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Did I get that wrong? I'm checking the chat.
Well, I remember his name is Dodi Fayed. I forget exactly where he was from, but I know he was a man of color. So
I can tell you that Fayed is not a Welsh name. I can tell you that.
No, it is not. That is true. Yeah.
So welcome everybody to the chat. For everybody that's coming in tonight, I'm Karama, aka the Blurred Girl. My guest for this hour is Aliza Pearl, and I am joined by the team of Premium Geek tonight. The first hour here, we're featuring JP Pompey, who is our ASL interpreter this evening. Wakandan Mage in the chat says Dodi Fayed is Egyptian. Rexus agrees. Yeah, okay. So like I said, North African. And Alicia Marie Body, who's going to be our second hour guest, is in the chat. Hi, Alicia. How you doing, girl? So welcome. So the other thing I wanted to talk about in the lowdown is let's get to what does make me happy. Thank you for indulging the thing that was freaking me out, which is Harry and Meghan.
I'm glad I could fill in some info for you too. I watched it all the way through twice. I don't know why I did that to myself.
I will watch it. I just need alcohol to do so.
Just get your wine.
Because it's trauma. It's trauma.
It is. It is. And it was so familiar too, like the trauma she went through. Of course, I haven't lived through that because I'm not a freaking princess, but a lot of people relate to what she went through because we know why. We know why.
Well, the gaslighting in particular is what I had a problem with. You know, when people are gaslighting you and saying, oh, it's all in your head. That was just, okay, yep, I can't do this part. So the other thing I want to talk to you about is something that did make me happy, which is a new anime coming from Netflix this April called Yasuke, or Yasuke, as some people are saying. I'm not Japanese. We're going to try it out. It is the anime about the African samurai. It is loosely based on the true story of the African samurai, because I know a lot of people are like, he's not the only one. This is the show that Lakeith Stansfield is he's executive producer of, and I believe it is LaShawn Thomas who created Cannon Busters. He also worked on the Boondocks, who is creating this 6-episode show. So yeah, I want to see, I'm pretty sure, I think we've seen both of the images there. And I mean, that is a brother. That's not like, hey, we think that could possibly be a Black guy. He's a brother with locks.
Yep. How freaking exciting. Oh my God.
Yes. And I am excited about it. I'm excited on multiple levels. One of the things I'm excited about is somebody I didn't mention, and that is MAPPA, MAPPA, the animation company, because it sounds like another name. MAPPA Animation does some incredible work. They do Attack on Titan. I believe they do Jujutsu Kaisen. They do a few things, and please let me know in the chat. Please type out in the chat for those of us who can't remember all the shows they do. But MAPPA is a legend. Can we trust robots? I'm glad that this happened. I am too. Aliza, what did you think when you saw it? What did you think when you saw the images?
Very exciting. I can't wait to see more. is it only 6 episodes that they're coming out with first, or is that the whole series?
I
'Cause
now
I'm
see, that's the
hoping,
thing.
yeah, I wanna
This is
know
the
if
thing.
it's
So
gonna go on.
somebody was asking me this online, like why I was so surprised that the show was coming out next month.
Mhm.
And I said, yes, I'd heard about the show, but I knew LaShawn Thomas was working on it. And the last thing we'd heard about was Cannon Busters. And Cannon Busters took years to come out after it was
Uh,
announced. So when they
mm.
said Lakeith Stanfield was doing this, I'm like, okay, great. We'll see it in maybe 2025. I'm only
You were
slightly
setting your
exaggerating.
expectations. You're
You
managing
know,
your own expectations.
I'm just, I've been hurt before. So
Yes.
what ended up happening when they announced it this week and had images to show for it, I was like, what? But so
Woo!
Mappa must be like, listen, we're done with Attack on Titan. We we need to pay some bills. Um,
Mm.
so I was surprised, pleasantly surprised that it was coming out so quick, but I'm almost positive it's just going to be the 6 episodes unless he gets a whole lot of money to do a second season. And I think the only way
Mm.
that's going to happen is if we check it out. Did you watch Cannon Busters?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
I thought the animation was really good. The story was meh. So I'm just really hoping he got some good writers because I
Mhm.
know the animation's going to be good. We know the fight scenes are going to be good. It's kind of like
Yes.
Mortal Kombat. Like, the fight scenes are going to be good, but the
Uh-huh.
story.
Yo. Yo, like, I mean, yes, it's exciting, to see what they're gonna fill all the cool visuals and like you said, fight scenes and stuff. Fill what it was gonna, like, connect all those things. What's the story gonna be? How is the dialogue going to be? Is it gonna feel, is it gonna feel good to hear these stories? Um, but yeah, I already knows I'm gonna want more than 6 episodes. Like,
Yeah.
so that's why
Yeah.
I need to start managing my expectations.
I know
Because
I'm going to
that's
need
not
more than 6 episodes as well. Um, People once again in the chat, I'm hearing yes, Mappa Kappa, Tuna Connoisseur says this. Uh MK equals magic words for me. I know, Alicia, you're a huge Mortal Kombat fan. Wakandan
yes.
Mage, the trailer should be released as soon as possible. Wakandan Mage, I
Mm,
agree with you. I don't know why they didn't
mhm.
drop a whole trailer. Um, they're doing like a K-pop release. It's like we're gonna give you 3 images and a teaser, and then you get the trailer the night before the drop.
To stretch it
Um,
all out.
yes, Bruce Rock AC says waiting on the second part of Lupin on Netflix. Now,
Hmm.
I believe you're talking about live action Lupin. I love it. I absolutely love that show. I don't. If you're talking about the animated series, I don't think that's on Netflix. That's over on Crunchyroll. Um,
Mm.
but if you haven't watched Lupin, Aliza, you should definitely check it out. It's
It's
beautiful.
on my it's on my list. It's on my Netflix list. Soon.
Um,
Soon.
yes, me too. I'm trying to think. There's a few other things that happened this week. Let's see. Oh yes, there was a very funny mix-up. Did you hear about the Snyderverse mix-up?
You sent me that link, and that was the first I had heard of it.
Okay, so share. So if you feel comfortable, share with the rest of the class what I was talking about.
So what happened was on HBO Max, I guess the day that Tom and Jerry came out, some people clicked on Tom and Jerry and saw an hour of the Snyder cut of the Justice League. So there was some kind of switcheroo that happened, and they put the Snyder cut out by mistake. Um, can you just imagine, like, if you have small kids and like your parents and just like your whole family's there to watch freaking Tom and Jerry, and then you see the dark grittiness of the Snyder cut for an hour?
Not just that. It's 4 hours.
Yes,
So it's like
yes.
my thing is like, did it? What's the first thing that they noticed? Did they notice? Because it's supposed. I think Tom and Jerry is like a 90-minute film, or like just under
Right.
2 hours. Did they
Wait, you
notice that
wait,
the
wait.
film just wasn't stopping?
Do you think they watched it for like half an hour and they're like, wait a minute? There's no
Yeah,
Tom
like
and Jerry in this.
yeah, like I wouldn't know what to do if that was me. Like if I was sitting there like, okay, and I have kids and I'm gonna, or somebody
Yeah.
older, and how do you explain half the characters? How do
Mhm.
you So yeah,
Yeah.
I just thought that was hilarious. A lot of people thought that that was not an accident.
Yeah, I saw that. Honestly, I think maybe people just have fun speculating on things, but then of course we have people who believe in conspiracy theory, so I can't say that. I think it was probably just an accident, y'all. Why is everyone trying to make it more complicated than it is? Calm down, y'all. It was an accident. People make mistakes, believe it or not. Even the people who run HBO Max. So
Yeah. And
I don't
also,
know.
we're living in the middle of a pandemic and they just started this thing where they're dropping these films every Friday. They just flipped the wrong Fridays. Uh
Exactly.
Rexus092 in the chat says, I watched Blade at 6. So kids gotta learn. You watch Blade at 6 years old?
Oh,
Oh my God.
kids gotta
Yes, for
learn.
pounding. Oh my goodness. Yes, Blue Rock AC. It was an accident. I agree. People are trying to come up with all kinds of conspiracy theories about
Yeah.
they did it on purpose instead of showing, I guess, the cyborg trailer or the cyborg movie. It's just I
Mm,
listen. I think there's so many things that are going wrong right now that it was a legitimate accident. That's what I think.
yeah. Yeah. I think so
Um
too.
so I think that is okay. We've gotten to all the stuff that I'm not crazy about. Now let's
Yeah.
talk about WandaVision because
Yeah.
neither of my guests last week had gotten to the end. And so I was
Okay.
stuck sitting here like, okay, I guess I can't talk about it because I don't want to ruin
Mhm.
it.
Mhm. Oh
um,
goodness. Let's get into it.
so yes, yes. Oh, and before we move on, yes, Can We Trust Robots says somebody got fired that day from HBO. Bouncer says I watched The Exorcist at 9. I can attest to the fact that Bouncer's crazy, so I know how it affected him. The so
Oh,
okay, WandaVision, the WandaVision season finale.
WandaVision.
Yes, and White Vision and all of the things. What did you think?
The finale specifically? What did I think?
Well, tell me about what you thought of the show, and then we can also
Okay.
talk about the finale.
All right. I love the show. I love the show. I love the show. I love the show. When I say I rewatched it 4 times, that was before the finale. So I've actually only watched the finale 1 time, but I've watched the entire
Okay.
rest of the series about 4 times, every other episode. Um, Holy crap. I thought it was such an amazing convention to do every decade of TV style. I thought that was brilliant. It also brought in a lot of people to the MCU to become fans of the MCU. I was talking to my nephew yesterday, and he does not like superhero movies, and he's a 23-year-old man, so that like and he has very specific tastes too.
No,
But
but
he
I'm
loved
I'm glad
WandaVision.
you I'm very glad that you clarified that because
Yeah. Oh,
I
my
thought
nephew?
yes, I thought you were going to say that your nephew, yes.
My 5-year-old
Um
nephew has very specific taste. Okay, just kidding.
okay.
No, he's 23.
Got it.
He's a grown
Got it.
man. But yeah, I just loved it. And also, by the way, the music was really good. I started listening to on my Apple Music. Yes, I use Apple Music. Don't judge me, everybody. I don't care. I'm not a Spotify person. I'm Apple Music, shamelessly. But on my Apple Music, I found that they have like an album for each episode of WandaVision. So you can go back and listen to the music from that episode. And it's good stuff. It's so good.
No, it really is, and I actually have to go and check that out, and I too listen to Apple Music.
Good,
But I have to go
yay!
I I didn't know that they downloaded singles or I can, like, just download because 'cause I'm a subscriber, so I can just download the whole album?
Yeah, and it's by episodes. So it's like episode 7 album, episode 8 album. And I
They
guess,
put
yeah, I guess I only listen to those 2, but I guess the earlier episodes have them too.
well, and they put in work. They really like
Yeah,
it takes work to because most shows have the same theme song at the beginning of every
mhm,
episode. This was
right.
not just a completely different song, but different genres every
Yeah,
single episode.
yeah.
So, yeah, no, they did I think they did an incredible job. What
Mhm.
about Elizabeth Olsen's performance?
Oh my god, she really kinda stepped out, and this is maybe, probably the first time we're seeing her, like, stand in her own leading role of a series, obviously, but also just, like, be able to stretch and do so many different styles and yet still have the core that of that character. Like, I was super impressed with her performance. What did you think?
Oh, I thought it was amazing. I also thought that Paul Bettany did an incredible job. Um, as everybody knows, this is a Monica Rambeau stan show.
Woo! Yes!
So, yeah,
Oh,
I was very, very, pleased that they brought her to light, they gave her powers. I know a lot of people had questions about how she got her powers. I don't care. I'm just happy that she got powers.
yeah.
And that she's a legitimate force in the Marvel universe. I'm
Mhm,
it's interesting because I don't think the show was perfect, but I think it was
mhm,
amazing. And what it was able to do, like you said, get people to sit down and watch TV every week. We haven't had appointment TV like that really since I'm going to say Lovecraft Country. Some people would go before that,
mhm.
um,
For me, it
and
was
say Game of
Discovery in
Thrones.
the fall. Mhm,
Yeah.
and the
So,
Expanse.
yes. But see, the thing is with The Expanse, no, that's true. They did drop them every week. You're right. You're right. You're right. Um, but
But I think I know what you mean.
I think the way they did it, the way they did it and the fact that it wasn't that long, that it was only like,
Uh-huh,
it was just under an
like a
hour.
week. Oh, yeah.
Yes. I'm just sad that that's something that we're not going to get a second season of.
I know. Yeah, I didn't find that out until literally after I watched the finale, then I heard that was it for the series. Um,
Yeah.
but maybe you know what? Maybe they will do or can do now. I mean, obviously, we have heard that Scarlet Witch is going to be in. I think it's official that she's going to be in the next Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe in addition to that, they can keep doing these like mini series stories on Disney Plus in between the major motion pictures, fill in some little blobs of story with these characters, and maybe we could get more Scarlet Witch stories that way. But I want to talk to you about Scarlet Witch though,
Okay.
um, because do you? My thing is I like. How exciting to finally see her like become Scarlet Witch in the
Yeah.
MCU. Uh, but I'm wondering if they're gonna, from now on in this phase 4 and beyond, are they gonna actually have Scarlet Witch become a villain like she becomes in the comics? Like, I'm wondering if they're gonna let
I
it go, if they're gonna push it that far. And
I
I hope they do
I
because
think
how
they
dope would that
will.
be?
I think they will, and
That
I'm about to spoil the after credit scene that was shown
ooh,
after the
yes.
finale because in that scene at the very very end when she's you know going through the dark hold and basically looking for the different universes and she hears her children Wiccan and Speed basically call
Uh-huh.
out to her, she stops, which means she's going to tear through space and time to get her children,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
means Doctor Strange has to come correct that.
She's the
Doctor
villain in
Strange,
Doctor Strange!
I think she's going to be the
Oh,
villain in Doctor
yeah!
Strange. And you know what? And think about Mordo's character, Chiwetel Ejiofor. Mordo
Uh-huh.
from the Doctor Strange. He's the black guy from the first movie, y'all. Um, remember Mordo's whole purpose is to right the wrongs of time. He doesn't think time should be
Mhm,
messed with. So
mhm.
he is going to he's might have to team up with Doctor Strange to get her
Mm.
or he's going to go get Agatha to help
Oh.
nullify her. So I think we're going to see Agatha again. There's no way they're going to leave her in Westview.
Mm. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Um, and people in the chat are saying the exact same thing. JD Hayes, I
Mm,
hope they head in that direction, because if she does, we can get Avengers and X-Men. Also in the
right.
chat,
Mm,
Ru- Ruben M87, sorry. The way it went, I feel like she will become a villain, but if that happens, I do hope she'll become a hero again. I completely agree.
yeah.
But in the few minutes that we have left, I want to get into the breakdown with you really quick.
All
And
right.
I want to talk about what you do. So, really quick, explain to us first your favorite Trek, either
Okay.
movie or show. So, which one was your favorite?
All right. I have two favorites. And so one of them is The Next Generation. And that's probably mostly for nostalgia purposes, but also I did really like the storytelling. And of course, those characters in that ship feel like home. Like when I watch it, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm on the ship and I'm home. And then my other favorite show is Discovery. And it I feel like Discovery has incredibly strong points, and then it has had some rough points. So not all of Discovery totally, but there are large portions and episodes and story arcs in Discovery that I think are freaking amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
that show also, when I watch it visually, it's just so freaking stunning. It's such a gorgeous show. So those are my two
No,
favorites.
favorite favorite captain. I'm not going to say character, favorite captain.
Oh, it's Picard. I love me some Picard. I love that sexy ass old man.
I personally like Cisco, and it's
Yes.
because, but here's the thing, I was a DS9 fan simply because I liked the fact that the ship didn't go anywhere. You know what I mean? They were on a space
Mhm.
station. It wasn't a ship.
Right. Yeah.
So it was people coming and going. It wasn't them showing up unannounced and messing things up and leaving.
Mhm.
And I also, you've probably heard Kennedy mention this, your co-host on Women at Warp, but I just love how he handled things differently. So Picard had seasons and
Mhm.
seasons of fighting with Q. Q
Yeah.
shows up once with Cisco. Cisco punches him in his jaw and he's gone. You never see him on DS9 again. This is why I stand Benjamin Cisco.
Yeah. I honestly couldn't have said it better myself. That is a perfect summation of Benjamin Sisko versus Picard. And I agree with you that Sisko, I love that Sisko handled things differently. And he was, you know, what's cool too is like, if you look at all the captains compared to each other, they're almost like different in different directions of an extreme, but they have elements of each
Mm-hmm.
other. So I feel like Sisko is somewhere between Kirk, because he's the one who, yeah, he's ready to like throw fists, but he also is a diplomat, like he really is. So he's like between Picard and Kirk for me. And then Janeway brings a different dimension, where I don't see her as like a Kirk similar person. I feel like she's maybe between Picard and Cisco or something. And then like, so yeah, they all kind of like triangulate in my mind. um but yeah, I love all the captains. So I listen. I hope you all realize in chat, and you, Karama. I hope you realize that when you ask me what my favorite Star Trek anything is, it is very hard for me to answer that because I love
No, I
so
know.
much of
It's
Star
like,
Trek.
I know you had exactly, because I know it's like asking your favorite child. People in the chat are saying favorite Trek show is Next Generation. Favorite movie is The Undiscovered Country. Um,
Mm.
Utahime Cosplay, hello, says
Ah,
talking about how Picard is a sexy old man. Can we trust
yes.
robots? Accurate, Aliza. Alicia agrees with you. Alicia agrees with you. Bruce Rock AC, give me full hawk Cisco. I am there with you.
Nice.
Set the phasers to destroy, because that's what his his gun used to do. So let's really quick talk about um your tabletop role-playing game career, because it's funny. I feel like the first time I saw you, I don't know if it was Geek and Sundry or if it was Critical Role, but it was like, because I had this running theme for a couple years that Black people just didn't play tabletop role-playing games because I never saw any.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw you, and I saw Tanya, and I saw several people, and I'm like, okay,
Christina Ariel, Markia
yes, Christina
McCarty,
Ariel, Markia,
Abria
but they're all Black
Iyengar.
women. They're all
We're
Black
all
women.
out there. We're all out there playing, and we're all friends. Like, yeah, there's quite a few of us now, which is exciting. I mean, obviously, it's still there. We want more. I want more Black people and people of color playing TTRPGs, and that is part of why we, with our Klingon game from the beginning, we wanted an all person of color cast. And then Eric Campbell was our original GM, and he's a dear
Mm,
friend. And then we decided a few months into the show, he suggested that he step away as GM and we bring in a person of color to GM the show. And then I was like, well, I'll do it so that we could have a full BIPOC cast and the GM as well. And what's interesting is that, like, so Eric Campbell's a brilliant GM and storyteller, and he's actually like, he's a good friend of mine and also kind of has mentored me in GMing because I've learned so much from him. And I will text
mhm,
him, like, if I have an idea, I'm like, what do you think about this? Or ask him for advice. Um, and he's a brilliant storyteller. He launched our game so well. He created such a great foundation for me to then come in as the GM and tell stories. And now, as a woman of color, running this game with a cast of color and being Klingons, we've had moments that I think can only happen with an all BIPOC cast. Like, for instance, our last episode we did a few weeks ago, we went back to Konosh, and the cast got to like meet some people they hadn't met before, but also do like a Klingon ceremony and also talk to their family members. And I got to, as a TTRPG player, I have had so many moments where my white GM is doing their very best to play my character's mom, but
mhm.
like, a white guy's not going to be able to really fully slip into the shoes of like an Afro Latinx woman character. So, so yeah, I got to be that for my cast and play, like, my friend Chris Edens, who's on the show. He's half Vulcan and half Klingon, and I get to play his dad as a Black man playing a Klingon, basically, like, as if I were, if we were watching a Star Trek show and this his dad character was cast with a Black man playing him. I got to play that. And that was like really special, and so such a strange moment when we all realized that's kind of what it was. And we're like, whoa, that was
Mhm.
kind of cool.
It
So
actually
moments like
happened, like the
that.
way it was supposed to happen.
Yeah. So moments
That's
like that are
awesome.
really special, and I'm really loving running Blood of the Void so much. So much fun.
So the name of the show that you're GMing now is Blood of the Void.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and for uh Utahime Cosplay said, yes, this tabletop RPG playing is for everybody.
Yeah.
Other people in the chat are completely agreeing. Alicia Marie Body also agrees. Um, Wakandan Mage, yes, we are all getting agreements all the way across. Now, here's the thing. It wasn't that I didn't believe you. It's just I didn't see any.
Yeah, I
And
hear you.
it, it
Hmm.
and it's what's your favorite thing about tabletop role playing game? Because I see so many actors who are and voiceover artists who are good at it. Does it allow you to like practice your crafts?
Oh, absolutely. For me, yeah. Just like with improv, I do a lot of improv and I do a lot of TTRPGs, and I've found that it's a really great way for me to stay sharp on being in the moment and listening and responding to what you hear instead of what the idea is in your head. And as an actor, that's so important because, like, even when you have a script, you want to be present and responding to what is happening with the other actor or with the situation around you. So absolutely, TTRPGs for me are a great workout to stay fresh, to stay sharp. It's also great for like practicing character creation. It's great for learning how to support other players and other characters and collaborate. As a GM, there's a lot of really fun ways that it keeps me sharp as an actor, as a writer, as a storyteller. Um, I feel so lucky because I've been an actor in LA for over 10 years now, and I was in New York briefly before that. And in all my like decade and a half of being a professional actor, I've done all the typical day jobs like waitressing and bartending, and I worked at nonprofits, and I was a freelance grant writer and things like that. And I nannied and babysat and all that stuff. But this is the first time in my career that when I'm not making acting income, I'm making tabletop RPG income, which is freaking just so magical. Like I'm so grateful to have kind of stumbled into this world.
No, I think you are, and it also everybody that I talk to who does tabletop role playing games, um, and it's funny. I shouldn't say I've never done them. I have one that I've played. It's a friend of mine who was building his own Mass Effect game, and I have played very little Mass
Mm,
Effect, but my boyfriend is a
mhm.
huge Mass Effect fan. I actually didn't realize how big of a fan he was until we started playing this game, and I knew lore from the game because he's always talking about it.
Oh
So apparently
wow.
I've just been absorbing it. And he's like, "Do you know what character you're going to play?" And I'm like, "Well, a Krogan, obviously." And he was like, "How do you know that?" And I'm like, "Because that's all you talk about."
That is
um,
great.
But before we go, I want to show everybody this image of you from your Klingon cooking show on Facebook. um, this is classic cosplay right here. Classic cosplay.
Oh my
And
god.
I believe, what is the term that your character said? Gluten is evil, or gluten has no honor.
Gluten is without honor.
So this, I just got to know really quick. Did you just decide mid-pandemic? That's it. I'm doing my own show. This is happening.
Not exactly. I actually had gotten into the Klingon cosplay for a video, like a sketch video that my friend wanted me to be a Klingon in. And that morning I was like, "Ooh, I want to make some pound cake." So I got all the ingredients out for baking. I was like, "After the shoot, I'm going to make a pound cake." I put on that Klingon makeup. After the shoot, I didn't want to like take the time to take off the makeup. So I just went to the kitchen and started making the pound cake. And I was like, "Well, since I'm in cosplay, why not just like roll video on this?" And so that's how the first video was made. There was no plan going into it. I just was in Klingon cosplay and happened to be baking that day. And
Yeah,
then,
well,
of
listen,
course, I decided to
you
like
did an
start
amazing
making.
job.
Thank you.
It was one of the funniest things, and literally, there's people that still share it with me, that don't know I know you. They're like friends of mine
Oh,
who are like, "Oh, Karen is a geek; she'll get it," and they'll send it to me. I'm like, I know her. This is hysterical." Um,
oh,
so
that's
no,
great.
thank you so much, and I want everybody to know where they can go support your game because it's here on Twitch, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, we play the last Mondays of the month, which the next show is March 29th. We're over at twitch.tv/Q times. And it's that long version of Q that means in a line. It sounds kind of British. QUEUE
Oh,
times.
got
But
it.
follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We're at Blood Void RPG. And then, of course, follow me at Aliza Pearl.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for dealing with some of my little technical difficulties on our side. And I just want to thank Ebony who tapped in for JP. She's going to be back the next hour when I come back. So nobody go anywhere because my guest in the next hour is going to be Alicia Marie Body. Thanks for hanging out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
original Call of Duty.
What's the options?
The options are
It's D-Day. It's Medal of Honor.
World War One. It's probably 2. I'm just.
and you're saying 2.
He already said 2. It's probably 2. He probably knows.
It is World War II. The protagonist in Grand Theft Auto Vice City was voiced by which actor? Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Ray Liotta, or Al Pacino?
The third one.
Ray Liotta, yeah. Facts.
Correct.
Do this, bro.
He's like, just keep it. The classic Atari 2600 game controller has how many buttons?
Does the D-pad count as a button?
No.
I didn't have a D-pad.
It was a bait.
Yeah, 2
That was a
buttons.
bait.
2. Yeah.
He's just copying my answers right now. That's what I'm saying.
What?
Yeah.
It's either alright then 1. Fuck.
These are your final answers?
No,
Two.
number 2.
Answers 2.
2? 2?
Yeah.
He's copying my answers.
Yeah, you're copying. You should have stuck with your gut. The answer is 1.
You just 1? No, it's not. You're
Only
lying.
1 button.
Stop this. Stop.
I hate this.
Which country has banned the sale of the original Grand Theft Auto? I'll give you choices.
North Korea.
France, Germany, Britain, or Brazil? So I think I'm going with Brazil.
I'm going with France.
You're going with France?
I gotta go different. I'll go Germany.
Germany. Yeah. Oh, the answer is Brazil! In 1998, the government of Brazil banned Grand Theft Auto, including an $8,500 fine for anyone caught selling it, due to their belief that the game incites violence.
Nothing will make me want to buy the game more than the government banning it. I'm like, I definitely gotta play this fucking game now.
I feel like we should do this for the lols, because I know the OS fam likes Fortnite, and this group doesn't. So,
I'm not against Fortnite.
No.
what weapon was so powerful that Epic Games pulled it from Fortnite after only 4 days
Shotgun.
in 2018? There is the Infinity Blade, the Infinity Gauntlet, the Infinity Gun, or the Infinity Sword. I think it was either the sword or the blade. I don't know what's the name.
I think it's a sword of the blade too.
Of course you do, yeah.
Alright,
It was in fact the blade, the Infinity Blade. What is the name of the hero from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out?
Mike Tyson.
Doc Lewis, Don Flamenco,
keep going.
Little Mac,
I know this one.
or Mr. Dream?
Okay, it's not me. Okay, nobody say anything. Well, read the first 3 again.
Okay. Doc Lewis,
Okay.
Don Flamenco, Little Mac, Mr. Dream.
Little Mac.
It's Doc Lewis,
Doc Lewis.
Don Flamenco.
Doc Lewis.
It's either 1 or 3.
You ain't got Doc Lewis.
Oh, you're right! Let's go,
baby! I told you!
Little Mac is but a Wii fighter and can defeat the one-punch wonder Mike Tyson if the gamer is fast enough. The Nintendo Game Boy utilized which type of display system? Plasma, OLED, LCD,
Oh, LCD. That's what it
and
is.
projection.
Plasma.
LCD.
I don't know. I don't even know how they could projection anything, but I think you might be right. Oh, it's LCD.
Oh man.
Most
My
handheld
screens.
video games from the classic days, Game Boy used a liquid crystal
His plasma
display.
screen, it was after it was like those flat screens. The LCD was like the original bigger shitty screen, so they probably put those
The
shitty
bigger
screens.
shitty screen.
The
Final
last
shebang.
one.
Which video game is generally considered to be the original third-person shooter? Is it GoldenEye 2000? Oh wait, 007. Wow, kill me. Is it GoldenEye?
2007. Bro.
The year she was born.
Duke Nukem, Wolfenstein 3D, or Doom?
So GoldenEye wasn't third person.
Doom wasn't third person.
Doom wasn't third person.
I think
Duke wasn't
Duke.
third person.
Really, I've never
None
played
of these were
Wolfenstein.
third person.
Person.
I think the question's wrong.
You think it's wrong?
Yeah.
That's the trust
Let's see.
levels I
Let's see.
have.
In the response, it was like first person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a scrap. That's a scrap. And you
That
gotta-
was a good
you
call
gotta-
out. Like, you got the question. Come on, bro.
I'm so tight.
That was a good call. Uh-oh. You got the hair out.
Alright.
Not happening.
Good stuff, man.
GG's.
GG's, bro. You did good today.
Yep. I have been funding everything that I'm doing, the podcast, the Blerd Girl Live, everything out of my own pocket, and I need some help. So if you are a fan of what I'm writing, building, producing, I could really use your support. There's several tiers, several things for you to choose from, and I'm going to be using the Patreon as a vehicle to let people see a little peek behind the scenes also. So if you are interested in doing some of what I do, I'll be sort of teaching classes, and there will be certain levels where you will be able to take part in a monthly coaching series that I'm going to be doing through Patreon as well. So I hope to see everyone on Patreon, and I really, really can't thank you enough for all the support you've given me so far, and I can't wait to show you what I've been working on.
I survived for once.
Great goal, a real class finish. You don't see goals scored like this very often.
Well, the goal again, albeit from a different angle.
Kim, stop. No.
What was that? Why did that work?
Taken the archway.
Like the old times, baby.
All right, it's time for a nice, relaxing Saturday evening.
Yeet! Oh, that's the spike!
That's one. Coming in, can we get another two there? McDaniel's just laying it on this diva. What'd she do to you, King? Who hurt you? Just like they were. Oh my God!
Damn! That was nasty.
Yeah! One shot, one kill, baby!
It's taking a slider.
Yeah, finish
Finish
that, Ryan. Let's go.
We're schmoving.
One of the first college graduations to occur in Minecraft.
Spam the word operator and I will give you free things. Odds and ends. You just won yourself a whole ass game.
Right now, Mr. Stafford, you are looking like the person who's going to be the grand prize winner of a brand new Resident Evil 2 remake.
My God, I'm so
What is
bad.
happening? Ivan! Ivan! Ivan!
Yes, let's go!
Later.
What's up, folks? Welcome back to the Blerd Girl Live. I'm Karma, aka the Blerd Girl, and welcome to the Get Down segment. That's right. This is the second hour of the show. Also, welcome to Premium Geek, my ASL team tonight. You're going to be seeing both of them switch off. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. My guest this hour is none other than Alicia Marie Body. Now, I'm going to do what I should have done the first hour and properly read their bio. Alicia Marie Body is a RPG addict, a costume artist and creator, and an author, an accessibility advocate, and fitness pro who turned her love of super physiques, comic books, video game, and anime art into a creative career. Most known for her incredible cosplay, Alicia creates amazing looks for media companies like Warner Brothers, video games like Mortal Kombat, and celebrities such as platinum recording artist Megan Thee Stallion and WWE superstar Ronda Rousey. Now, Alicia is the physical inspiration for some of the female fighting characters you see in popular video games today. In May, I think that was last year, she was introduced as a playable character in Sony Interactive's new Predator game, Predator Hunting Grounds. Now, Alicia, who likes to refer to herself as a walking technology cyborg following a cochlear implant surgery to restore her ability to hear speech and sound, is also an advocate for accessibility for the deaf and hard of hearing. When she isn't working on a new costume look or appearing on panels for deaf and hard of hearing accessibility, you can find Alicia working out or, of course, playing Dungeons and Dragons and other RPG systems live on Twitch at Alicia Marie Body. So welcome to the show, Alicia.
Hey, what's up, everybody? So nice to be here. I was like, my lighting is terrible. I can't figure out how the camera's working, but I'm here. I have my clothes on. My hair is done. I'm good.
And all in that order. So you look amazing all the time. I don't know what you're talking about, right, everybody? I'm sure everybody in the chat is going to completely agree. Welcome everybody who's been waiting for Alicia. I've had people asking for you all hour. So I'm so happy that you were able to join us. So what I ask all of my guests, the very first question is always, what have you been reading, watching, or playing to stay sane these days?
Oh my gosh. You know what? As someone who is like super creative, and I pull a lot of my inspiration and creativity from being around other people. This is why I love conventions and why I love events. Not having any of that has been really, really difficult to stay sort of motivated to do creative things. So I was very lucky that I kind of got into RPG games in January was my first game. So it was right before everything fell apart last year. And that has carried me through this entire sort of whatever thing. Through this entire Panda Express, I have been playing RPGs. And as far as TV shows, I've been catching up. I'm one of those people that likes to watch shows after everyone's done. So, like, I'm watching The Mandalorian right now, okay?
Oh, wow.
That's where I am. I'm behind. I'm so behind. And I'm watching Schitt's Creek. But The Mandalorian's been really, really good. It makes me really happy and excited because I watch it and I know there are cosplays that I'm doing from it. Like, I'm like, oh, I know what I'm going to make from there. I'm telling you.
I know it is. It's going to be Ahsoka. I know it's Ahsoka. You can't tell me it's not Ahsoka. It's Ahsoka. You can't. I know it is. And because people can't stay in their houses and wash their hands, I am going to go as the Mandalorian because that's going to be the only safe cosplay in 2022.
Right. I think like everybody has been sort of trying to find ways of staying, like you said, staying sane, like making themselves happy. I will say that I have loved RPGs for years, but because of my inability to hear, I never thought I could play. So yeah, I mean, and it's not anyone else's fault. It's honestly, I limited myself because people like Satine Phoenix, I think she asked me like 7 years ago to play at her table. This is when we could actually be in the same room with other people. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to keep up with everyone talking around the room. And she said, we'll figure it out for you. Don't worry. And I was like, no. I had this just so anxiety about being at the table. And in January, there was a charity event coming up and TJ Storm was like, this is after I'd gotten my first cochlear implant. I got the right one done in September of 2019. So my brain was already beginning to relearn sound again. So in January, TJ Storm was like, "You're playing." And I was like, "No." And he's like, "You're playing. It's not that difficult. Just jump in." And I was like, "No." And I did that charity event and I was scared to death. I was scared to death, but everything was fine and it was really fun. And since then, I mean, I've done charity events, campaigns, I mean, one-offs, two-offs, home games, on-stream games. It's just so much fun. And I was watching what you just did with Aliza and what she was saying, everything about it. Literally, you're allowed to sort of be characters that you don't get to be in real life, if that makes sense. So like if you're not really like that kind of like timid sort of person, you can make a character that's like, "Oh, hi. Oh, how are you doing?" You can practice accents. You can pretend you're like this big tough person. It's fantasy. And I love it because it feels like a safe place to be and do like whatever, like use weird accents and act crazy. And I can walk into a stream or a show like with green ears or whatever, and no one says anything to me or does anything to me. So it's been a lifesaver, and I've made so many new friends.
And see, now you're making me want to do it. I thought the fact that I started taking up Gunpla was like a big deal, but it's really just a little. We have a friend of the show, Danny Lore, and the comic creator is a huge Gunpla. Like she does all the customizations and the painting and everything. And my boyfriend's an artist, and he used to do it a lot, and so we got one, and it sort of was like my chill down thing to do. And I'm sorry, I'm looking off to the side because my cat is literally chewing on the lamp. So this is, if you see all my light just go like that, you'll know what happened. It's one of those nights. You also just actually hit me to something. For some reason, I had in my head that you got your implants when you were a teenager. I did not know you just got them in the past couple years. Wow.
And I've done a couple posts like on social media, like here and there, because I know it's something that a lot of people don't know a whole bunch about. And in the deaf community, it's sort of a hot button issue because, and this, to make a long story short, it's sort of implying that deaf people in the deaf community are not proud of the community, or not proud of the language that they've fought. Like the pioneers of ASL fought to make a language and something that is a standard for deaf people to communicate with. With cochlear implants, it can be tough because some people in the community can see it as, you're saying we're broken. You're saying we need to be fixed. You're saying that we need to change ourselves to fit into a hearing world. So it can skew a little ableist. So what I say with cochlear implants, it depends on like who you are and when you lost your hearing. I lost my hearing in my 20s. So I grew up completely hearing perfectly, and then it just started declining. And I got hearing aids at first, and then the hearing aids weren't strong enough, like different levels of hearing aid, like one hearing aid, then two, and then stronger, and my hearing just completely declined. And so finally it got to the point where I'd be in a room and I would immediately just disassociate from like all conversations because there was no way I could keep up without the lip read. So I was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, wow.
Funny. I mean, it's like a bunch of things.
No, but here's the listen, I'm a stroke survivor. So, and I tell people, and so I tell people all the time, like, what happened? Like, if somebody sees me drop something, I'm like, oh, # stroke problems. Like, it's a thing. You're fine. No, I get it. Because sometimes the only way you can get past some of what you're going through, especially when it's compounded, is by joking about it. It doesn't mean it's not serious. It just means That's why we call the pandemic a personal pan pizza, because we just can't,
Okay, that's
you
a good
know.
one. I'm going to steal that. Personal, we're here in a whole personal pan pizza, and you're choosing to act like this. I'm going to use that with my nephew.
Right. He's choosing to act like a pineapple. That's the problem.
He's like, can you send me V-Bucks for Fortnite, Auntie Lily? And I'm like, no, you didn't. Sure. Since I didn't have to change your diaper, sure. Just kidding. But I had cancer. What'd you say?
Wow. No, I was saying,
so
wow, because of the cancer. I was saying, wow. And I don't know if you feel like sharing that, but I'm going to assume it's in remission.
Yeah. I'm actually in a very lucky intermission, and I feel really bad because I can be really out there on social media, and then I can be like withdrawn at times. So I feel like I need to update because people are wondering like, what just happened? Wait, what's going on here? So but the weird thing about cancer in general is that you end up putting a lot of things into perspective. And I had heard about cochlear implants. And doctors had told me the type of hearing loss you have, it's called high frequency profound, which means I don't hear consonants at all. So like words like talk sound like gawk, or words like potato sound like oh. Seriously, I don't hear consonants at all. So I'm not able to follow language unless I'm lip reading. And I had heard about cochlear implants, but I was really cynical. I was like, it's not going to work for me. Why should I even think about it? And doctors would tell me, with your hearing loss, you're actually a perfect candidate for the surgery. And I was also scared. I was like, someone's going to cut my head open. Oh my God. Like I was going to cut mine. They're going to stick something in my head. You freak out sort of. I wasn't very educated on it, and I didn't do a good job of finding out more. But after diagnosis and going through all the radiation and treatments and chemo meds and stuff like that, I think something just changed in me in 2019. And I was like, you know what? Let's just get one ear done and see what happens. And I did. And they did UCLA did a documentary on me because they thought it was interesting. And it was all about before the surgery, all the pre-appointments, and then the day they turned my ear on. And you can see videos like this on YouTube, like people who hear for the first time, that sort of thing. Well, I haven't heard in years. I haven't heard real sound as it's supposed to sound in years. Everybody sounds like, before these, everybody sounded like Charlie Brown adults and Charlie Brown Peanuts. Like, wah, 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 wah. That's how everyone sounded.
Like underwater.
Yes.
Little bit like underwater. Yeah. And also, not to cut you off, I don't want to freak you out, but Alicia's family is in the chat. Mom, dad, sister, and nephew. So Blackity Black Queen wanted to tell you that you have a chat full of love tonight. And Utahime Cosplay says, yes, thank you so much. The Photo Dojo, one of the strongest she knows. Yes, the Photo Dojo, she's amazing. Alicia, I know, I was going to say, I'm going to make her cry. I personally just want to thank you, because you being so open and sharing even just what you just shared is not just healing, but it's also educating and teaching the rest of us. And you don't know. Here's the thing. You never know. And I'm not equating a stroke with hearing loss. I'm just saying I had lost my father to a stroke, was going through a divorce, almost lost my house. Then I had a stroke. So it's like one of those things where when it rains, it pours.
Yes.
And so, And so all I'm saying is you've made it. You don't have to wait for another shoe to drop. All the shoes have dropped. You're fine. The shoe store is gone. You're fine. You're here. You're gorgeous, and you're telling your story, and you honestly, Alicia, just walking into a room, you can inspire people. And it's funny because you didn't know this, but I met you or saw you years ago. I feel like it was 2016 at San Diego Comic-Con, I think. And I feel like it was when you did the Captain Marvel cosplay, but it might have been something else. But I remember saying to somebody that I actually thought you might have a hearing impairment, because I had an ex who I could tell how you were acting in a crowd. It was very clear. It was very clear that you were not communicating unless someone was looking at you. And I'm like, okay, check. And I couldn't get to you, and I knew standing behind you yelling at you was not going to work. and listen, even for someone without any hearing loss, standing behind somebody at San Diego Comic-Con, they might not hear you.
It is a zoo. It's a beautiful zoo, but it's a zoo.
It is a zoo. It is absolutely a zoo. So I thank you for sharing that. And I think that's amazing that I did not know. I knew a little bit about the quote unquote stigma, not stigma with implants, but I didn't know how deep it went. It almost sounds like there's like a purist kind of concept to it. And it really depends on it's a choice though.
Yeah. It in the deaf community, there's like the uppercase D, which is the deaf culture. I mean that you're part of the culture, you speak ASL. Then there's the small d, which is the DEAF, but it's a small d, which means you are deaf or you have deafness or a hard of hearing, but you're just not part of the whole culture. Like maybe you don't speak ASL, maybe you are lip reading. So if I was to be put in a category, they would definitely put me in the lowercase d. Maybe because of my implants, or just because I'm not as well versed in ASL as I wish I was. Like I'm watching Premium Geek and I'm jealous right now.
I'm sure they would give you classes, but listen. I'm going to you're not a lowercase anything on this show. You are an uppercase D for diva. You are a diva on this show. And I need to know, I'm very curious which came first for you, your love of geekdom or your fitness?
You know what? A lot of people ask that question. Part of me thinks it was both at the same time, but that's like impossible. So I'm going to be honest with you. I think it was, you know what? Because it all happened so fast. I think it was I saw comic books first. And I sort of fell in love with how women were drawn in comic books. And then when I realized, the way you get there is you have to pick up heavy things and lift weights and be strong. And that's how you do it. That's when I think I started working out when I was like 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
I was 9 years old, and people were like, why do you want to look like a boy? And I was like, I don't look like a boy. I want to look like this woman right here is like Wonder Woman in a comic book. You know what I mean? So it's funny because I see how strong women are like super celebrated now, like muscles, and the Amazons and Themyscians and all the comic book females are celebrated for being ripped and muscular. And I think about the years of garbage I have taken from people for having muscles, and I have to be like, oh my God. But it's I love it. But at the same time, for most of my life, I was called everything in the book because it wasn't normal for a woman to want muscles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's fascinating because I'm thinking of all the comics in the 90s, everybody had muscles. The guys, the girls. In fact, depending on who was drawing, some people had muscles that couldn't possibly be on their body. Like who has 5 muscles? Right. So like any Frank Miller comic book had extra muscles.
Yes. He drew women like the way that women were drawn was that they're fighters, they're strong, they're superhumans. And when I first saw like how She-Hulk was drawn, I was like, what is this? I thought, I'm sorry, I thought it was amazing. And then I started seeing pictures of like Flojo and the U.S. women's volleyball team. And I was like, what are these people? They're superhuman. And I wanted to be that. So I started like getting my little like aerobic weights in the basement. And I was like 9 years old doing this and stuff. And then I moved into like teaching fitness, like teaching aerobics when I was a teenager. And then I went to personal training. So that's how, and then I started competing in like professional fitness competitions. I've always been really hyper. So it was a great way to get all the energy out. And I mean, I don't know. I think that fitness has definitely seen a weird sort of evolution since way back then. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy that I'm here for it. I'm happy I'm here for it, but it's definitely changed to where now fitness it's a thing. And it's probably because social media.
Well, yes, I was going to say social media. Now, how funny is it now that the stuff that you thought was weird, because I say this a lot, I spent the majority of 10th grade from the inside of my locker. None of this was cool. You know, comics and anime and things like that. And now it's like, you want to pay me to talk about, okay. All right.
It's like mind blowing. I'm like, you want me to wear this costume for your business?
Right.
Oh yeah. Like I always say this, and I think I was talking about it last week with someone when I remember doing like a cosplay thing in 2008. And I remember going to like a fitness forum, and because somebody was like, oh, you know, your people back in the day when you used to have Google alert for your name back in the day, not anymore. But I remember a group of people were saying like how embarrassing I was.
Why? Why would they say this?
They were like, ooh, embarrassing. Like, wow, she's like so immature and so embarrassing. And I was like, what? And it was literally because I was putting on costumes and talking about Pac-Man or something. I was talking about the Pac-Man World Championship or something. I don't know what I was talking about. But yeah, I remember I distinctly remember reading that I was embarrassing. And I was like, oh, okay. And I still kept doing it because and now people all want to get into cosplay and fitness and stuff. And I'm like, so all of a sudden being like just being a nerd and being about fandoms and geeking out over things has become really acceptable.
Right.
Mired.
But I look, and I think you're one of the leaders in this space. So what I have known is that you have cosplayed. I mean, literally, I think the first time I saw you, you were as Storm, but there was in White Storm ages ago. And I will show that image, but I want to show first, you've been doing work for other people. Now, again, I was this week years old when I found out that you actually, I knew you constructed your own costumes, but I did not know you were constructing other people's. So when did you start getting into not just sewing, but like fabricating, like you're making weapons?
Okay, this is actually, you know how when there's something that you see for yourself, like you see a hairstyle, you see an outfit, you kind of know how you want it to look on you. And when you can't find someone to replicate it for you, you're like, fine, I'll just do it myself. That was the beginning of everything for me. I mean, when I was younger, I used to make costumes for costume sort of contests when I was like a teenager. Like I remember, I think I won a costume contest in high school because I was Disney's Pocahontas or something like that. And that was just styled, like what we would call closet cosplay these days. Like it's styled, it had my hair in braids. And I was like, oh, here I am. And everyone was like, whoa. And I was like, whoa, maybe I have a knack for this. I do have a styling knack. Like that's I love styling things. It's a lot of fun. So with fabrication, that was just knowing what I wanted and then not knowing that there would really be no way of getting someone to create it for me. And then, so I made a costume, and then people were like, oh, wow, that looks really good. And I'm like most artists, I hate everything I do. So it's always very weird for me when people like something. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing yet. Check it out. You know what I mean? I'm still like people are like, how come you don't do videos of yourself making stuff? And I was like, because you will see the mess that I am when I'm making something. I'm like, oh God, well that didn't work. Let's try this again. Ooh, that didn't work. Try this. Oh, that didn't work. Like I literally go through a whole evolution when I'm making a costume. But there are certain things that I've picked up over time that have helped me to improve the things I make. So sometimes like I'll see something and I'll know exactly what I'm going to do to make that costume. So, but it's a lot of fun, and I have a lot of patience for it. I do have a lot of patience for making things.
Well, it also sounds like you get in the zone. And kind of like probably also like fitness. You get to like in a zone where you're like, nope, I'm gonna stay here a while. It's nice here. That doesn't, for fitness, that doesn't happen for me. But I do relate to the creative part. Let me show, I want to show everybody this thing, the costume that you did for Megan Thee Stallion. This is Megan Thee Stallion as Melina from Mortal Kombat. I was stunned. I remember when she posted this, I missed the part that you did this. I don't know how I missed that, but I did. So how did that come about? Did Megan see you and just hit you up, or did somebody from her team contact you?
Yeah, it was like her team and my team, and it was sort of like, oh, she makes, because I do a lot of Mortal Kombat cosplays. One of my very first costumes that I did was just a styling myself as Sonya Blade, like, but from like the MK versus DCU game that a lot of people don't like. I happen to like it, so I made it. And people were like, "What the hell?" It went over really well with the community, with the fighting game community and the cosplay community. And I was like, oh, there are people out here who really appreciate Mortal Kombat stuff. And that's old school me. I love Mortal Kombat. So I've done tons of Mortal Kombat costumes just because I love the game. And the community is really cool. And to me, Mortal Kombat fans are like the hardcore fighting game fans. It's just old school, hard.
You might have seen me post about this on Twitter, but I got to visit the set of Mortal Kombat back in 2019. And
the movie?
Yeah. And so, but I haven't been able to talk about it until I know. I haven't been able to talk about it until this week because there was an embargo. But let me tell you, there were fans that found out that I was on that set in Australia in 2019 that started following me then, that weekly will DM me and ask me if I can tell them anything. And I'm like, I swear to God, guys, I can't say anything. You're going to get me into trouble. It's insane. But the one thing that I will say is, you're going to love the costumes. You're going to love the costumes. You're going to love the fight scenes. I haven't seen any of the dialogue, but what I will tell you, and I can say this now safely, is that every member of the team is like, with the exception of maybe a couple of people, are all fans of the game. Like Joe Taslim, that's playing Sub-Zero from Raid and Raid Redemption. Huge fan, had a PS4 in his trailer with the game at all times. And he would, with the director, was like, yeah, we got to put this in because the fans will love it. So there's definitely Easter eggs that him and Ludi Lin, who plays Liu Kang, also a huge fan of the game. So what was really,
this makes me happy.
it's going to be, I can't tell you what gets left on the cutting room floor, but I can tell you that the director, from the director to the door, have been all playing this game since they were kids, and they get it. And I mean, Joe was even saying things like, yeah, we had to decide whether or not we were going with the Midway story or the Netherlands story. And then we just decided that all of Sub-Zero's story could kind of exist in this one space where it was the same. So that's what I'm saying. If somebody says Midway and I said Netherlands, I meant Netherworlds. They know the difference. They, so yeah, I'm sure we're going to be talking more about this later, but I want to
hear everything.
I want to show more people about the cosplay that you've done, though. You did another one for Mortal Kombat, which was Ronda Rousey.
Oh, yeah.
So Ronda
She's so
decided,
good.
she's hilarious. Now, this is what she did on her own. And then Mortal Kombat 11 put her in the game. Her voice is actually of Sonya Blade in the game.
Yeah, she's voiced,
and then you did. Now this is what I want to know. We have a cosplay of you as Sonya Blade.
Yeah, I've done like three of her. I've done 3.
So which one came first? Did you design this for the game, or did you create this after the game came out? Okay.
This look is actually the classic Sonya Blade look that they brought back from this is what she wore like in the early. So they literally brought it back for the new game. So everybody who's like classic fans were like, oh, so of course when I saw it, I was like, oh, got to do it for the freaking convention. I miss it so much.
I know. You see, I wouldn't know that because I didn't start playing it till later. I didn't play the earlier ones, so I knew it. And honestly, you know how these days when you get to a certain level, you can change the skin like a dozen times. So I didn't know that this one was classic until people started screaming about it. So that was me.
They're like, classic.
Yes.
It's like people love classic. People love like classic looks from video game characters being brought back from the dead and remastered and sort of put into the game. It's just like like a love letter to the fans.
It is. They're all love letters. Well, speaking of classic, I want to show everybody the storm that I first saw, which I believe was White Storm.
Oh.
Yes. This is the storm. The very first time I saw this cosplay of Alicia, I was like, I literally thought you were a hybrid. I thought it was art. Like I thought they took a human body and then they drew on top of it. And then I saw you at a con once and I'm like, she's human. Oh my God. People
like, oh my God, she's human.
She's a human being. So yes, Utahime Cosplay says Alicia has definitely paved the way. D3UC3er, that was so spectacular. Of course, this is Alicia Marie Body. Where you been? And there's people in the chat that are recognizing your cosplay that did not realize you're the same person. So here you go. Yes, girl, get your flowers. We give flowers on this show, and I'm here to make sure that you get all of your flowers. Because no, you really have. And it's funny because before there was a 28 days of Black cosplay, there was there was you and a few other people that I would go, yes, Black people cosplay, stop it. You know,
we are. We're here.
Yes. and what's interesting is I think the other thing that I find fantastic about a lot of your cosplay is I think you said it earlier. It's sort of, I'm sure this wasn't in your closet, but maybe it was. I'm convinced you could take a shower curtain and look fabulous. But this next cosplay of the updated Storm, and I believe this was either Christopher Priest's version run on Storm, or it might have been Reginald Hudlin. But let's see. There was one other image of Storm that we had, I think. While she's pulling that. Oh, okay.
Is it a dress?
There was another one that you had that I thought we had in our arsenal, that she had the black crown and she had the dress, and it was when she was standing next to T'Challa.
Yes.
You don't have that here, but that is that's one of my favorites.
That's what I love, because I actually made that dress because it was Stanley's birthday, and he was having a party like at this house in Beverly Hills, or in the Hollywood Hills, and everybody who was coming was going to dress up, obviously, go to Stanley's birthday party. So I was like, I want to be Storm, but I want to be a different Storm than he's seen me in before. So I was like, I'm going to do the Storm from the cover of the comic. And since then, I've done like the wedding dress. I've done so many, but that one was one of the first dresses I made. So even when I think about how I sewed that, it was like really rough. Wow.
Yeah, but see, as they don't see the seams, they don't know. They don't see the inside. They don't know. And also, I just for the record, folks, I just want y'all to just peep how she like low key slid in Stan Lee's birthday party in the Hollywood Hills. Like that was that was a low key flex.
Oh yes, it was like Sammy's birthday party. That was such a good time, because it was full of. It was like walking through Marvel comics. It was like you saw everybody, every character, and everybody. I don't know how everyone managed to have a different character on. But then we took a big picture at the end. It was just a lot of fun. It was like the whole world brought together. Cosplayers, geeks, Marvel fans, comic book fans. It was so much fun.
That's
I miss
amazing.
Parties.
I do too. And it's one of those things where, like, I have actually helped run a couple virtual conventions, and there's only been really one or two that have really had a kind of connection, as opposed to just going to a bunch of links. That's another reason why I started the live show, because I kind of miss live interaction.
But I think we're all we're all missing it. So everyone's just trying to find ways. And that's why Twitch has just blown up. Yes. And I think that's also why TikTok is really blown up, because people are at home and they're like, well, let me just throw something on and make a video and do something with it, you know?
And I think that's the thing that I've liked the most about, I'll talk about TikTok first. Because I feel like Instagram, it's like so polished and everything has to look so perfect. And TikTok, people are like rolling out of bed, like, look.
Bonnet on. Hold up.
Right, with the coffee. Like, listen, let me tell you about Meghan and Harry. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those. Exactly. And I think a lot of that's needed. I think a lot of us, but the funny thing is, though, you were saying you don't like really showing the behind the scenes. And I've talked to other people like this. I had a really hard time with that too. That's why TikTok was hard for me, because I was used to like, nope, we got to set it up. I'll have my shoot days, and I'll have the days that I put the lashes on and everything.
Yes.
And it's so raw, and we're afraid to be that raw because that's not how it's been. Yeah. Do you feel that all of that's changed since the pandemic for you? Do you feel more, is it easier for you to, without the lashes, roll on to Instagram? Is it easier?
Yeah. You know what? Because we're not getting them every day and putting faces on. Like when I go to the gym, I don't put face on like this. I put a face on like this so I don't scare people in the chat right now. But like we're not, it's like I'll be like, have a hat on. No one's putting on like high heels. I mean, if I get dressed up, it's usually because of a D&D stream, and I want to like use the D&D stream to flex my creative makeup skills, which is what I've really been doing a lot of. But for the most part, I think a lot of things have changed. I mean, for me, like going back to my hearing journey, when I got my first ear done in 2019, like it took a while for my brain to start hearing words. So when I finally started hearing like words again, it was like, whoa. And then I jumped into the games, and then I just decided, I was like, you know what? We're in the middle of a panoramic. I'm just going to get the second one done. Yes, I got this one done August of 2020, September 2020. So now I'm what they call bilateral. So now I have the stereo sound thing going on that I didn't have before. I think just with everything I've been through, it just changes perspective, where I'm like, you know what? I don't.
Oh, it does. Absolutely. No, you're right. No, you're right. Because I mentioned the stroke earlier. It had shut down the left side of my body. I couldn't move from my my top of my arm down. So that was for about a month. And then it took 6 months to get it wasn't a bleed. It was what they call an infarction. So it's like stepping on a garden hose. Yeah. Oh no, it was terrifying. I don't wish this on my worst enemy, but I will say after like that and therapy and 6 months of learning how to like walk again and use my hand again, and then I had a flood in my house while I was in the hospital. That had to half of that had to be rebuilt. You come through all of that, and then somebody yells at you on Twitter. You're like whatever.
You're like, that's exactly the best way to put it. When someone was like, it's funny how like people say the most messed up stuff to you on Instagram and the most messed up stuff to you on Twitter. And you're like, and I was like, when you've been through a bunch of stuff, you realize that really doesn't matter. It takes a lot to get me to like react to like someone random just saying you're disgusting, go kill yourself. Like I'm like, okay, it's just very difficult for me to care about random little things like that.
Yeah,
and trolls,
for me,
like that.
it's when other people, if somebody talks like that to my friends, then I want to fight.
Yeah.
Then I want to fight. Or
Me
if
too,
they
then I'm
talk.
like, what did you say?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's
when I'll get
certain
crazy.
issues that, like, there are like certain issues, of course, that if someone tries it, I will go in. Like, and in the past, I would always ignore trolls and stuff like that. But something about 2021, where like if someone comes for me and I'm like, if you want smoke, you're gonna get smoke. It depends on my mood that day.
I actually have to ask you a personal question because this was a problem that I have. One of my strokes was, I didn't say this. I had more than one stroke. That's a whole different story. But they were in it's a long story. But they were in where your balance is in your brain. So I had this problem where I couldn't balance. What I'm curious of is when one ear came back or your brain connected, but your other one came back on. Were you like kind of walking crooked for a minute, trying to find your way in space? Because I had that problem.
Like you're right. Like, you're right, because your inner ear, it's like related to balance. And in fact, when they were testing me for this surgery, the scariest thing was they had to bring me in this dark room and they lay you back, and this is an actual test they do. They lay you back in a chair and they start funneling like warm water in your ear. And then they start showing you these images to see what your eyes do. And then like literally it feels like the room is moving and the chair is moving, and they're doing it to test to see like your eye tracking and how your brain is handling like movement. It's so weird and scary. Like I came out of the room like, I'm going to throw up. But for me, when I got the ears done, there was nothing. I think the hardest part about it was just getting used to sounds that I'd hear something and I wouldn't know what it is. Like I would hear, like I'd be in the car driving and I would hear a noise and I'm like, what is that noise? I can't get rid of it. Someone can't tell me what it is. And then I'm like, oh my God, it's a turn signal.
Oh my God.
That's been my life. Literally, that's been my life. I'm like, what is that noise? I'm like, oh, it's my dog's nails on the hardwood floor. Oh, okay. Like making the connection between the noise that you're.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
It is. Like, I remember I was in a store and I heard a grocery store and I heard the worst. I was like, this noise, I'm going to find it and I'm going to kill it. Whatever it is, I'm going to kill it. And it was a woman with like a really squeaky grocery cart. And I was like, can you not with that grocery cart?
Oh my God. That's so funny. It's like you've got this, it's like you've opened up another set of skills. And now it's like
ready.
You
My head is like my poor brain. When I first started like hearing things, I used to sleep a lot, like 14 hours a day, 13.
Yes.
Because your brain, think about it, neurons start growing, and because the human brain it's basically evolved to learn language and to adapt fast, very fast. So that's what my brain was trying to do, and it just wore me out. Noise and sound, I'd be like,
yeah, no, you don't realize we really don't realize how much work our brains do until there's something wrong, or there's if again like a neurological impairment, like a stroke, or there is or a concussion or something like that. We don't know until it's like, hang on, I have to fix this over here.
It's like, hold on. Like my brain was like, this is too much. I remember I had to pull over on the side of the road once and like take a nap in my car. I was like, look at me right now. It was just hearing things that I don't hear, like the air conditioner, like ambient noise. I could perceive it. So like I walk into a room and the air conditioner would be blowing and I'd be like, what is that noise? It's not stopping.
Wait a minute. It just dawned on me. You haven't been to a convention since you got the second one.
Since I got any of them.
So wait.
Oh, no, wait, I'm lying. I went to ALA with one.
Okay, but my thing is, when you walk into San Diego next time, you're gonna need to have a wheelchair because it's gonna knock you on your ass.
Oh my God. People like screaming, running,
Yes,
noise, music,
but not just that. You're used to hearing that. You haven't heard all the little sounds that the machines around the place make. And you haven't heard the little things that go off every hour. You haven't heard like a lot of, that's what I'm saying. You've missed a lot.
Go off every hour. What?
Whenever, like, there's people making announcements almost all the time, but they're really hard to hear, even for the rest of us. So there's constant noise. Yes. And then every booth has a different sound going on. Girl, you ain't ready.
I'll make sure I have my people with me so I can be like, yo, hold me.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You need to go with an entourage so that when you want to sit down, they can just carry you out.
I'm like, I need a veggie burger. Somebody help me, please.
Exactly. But I'm so fascinated by your story. I don't want to let you go without talking about your book. So tell me about your book and whether or not, like, somebody like me who is not as fit as you can benefit from your book.
Oh gosh. Okay, so I used to write a syndicated column for Oxygen magazine, and then for other fitness. I would do pieces for other fitness magazines too. I did a nutrition thing for Essence. I've written stuff for Muscle and Fitness, for Fitness Magazine, for Self, just articles and stuff. I used to write fitness things all the time. And then at some point, I remember I would do photo shoots and stuff like for magazines. And that was before like the butt thing was the thing. I mean, do you remember when butts all of a sudden became a thing? I don't know if it was J-Lo, if it was Kim Kardashian, or if it was
No, it was J-Lo. It was J-Lo because she insured her butt for like $1 million.
Oh.
Yeah, that was like, I can't remember. That was like in like the early 2000s or something. She insured her own ass. That happened.
See, yeah, there you go. Well, so the butt thing. So I noticed that people would always ask, like, whenever I did a fitness story, they'd be like, yeah, that's great. But what about your butt? What'd you do for that? And I'm like, okay. So then when I realized that was a thing that I was starting to seep into like the mainstream and like popular culture, and women just wanted to know about their butts and nothing else. Now it's like butt, legs, arms, abs, which is really new. Abs was brought on by Instagram.
Yeah.
Abs was never a thing until Instagram. And that's when we were like, oh, how can I get abs? But so the book was basically me just taking a bunch of things that I've written for magazines and like how I felt about it. If I was to be honest with you, I would definitely update the book now because I wrote that in 2012.
Okay.
So if I was to, I mean, this is the biggest problem I think with books is that, especially books that are sort of learning, like nonfiction books, they definitely require updating over time. So for me, I mean, the book is, I mean, I would have to say, I mean, it's fine. It's definitely a beginner sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Sort of like tips. It's actually really good.
I'm a beginner.
For like nutrition. Like nutrition tips, like things like that. Just things that like as a fitness person, sometimes we forget that like the things that we know, everybody doesn't know them. We just assume everybody does. So I'll be talking to a friend who I met on like social media and I'll be like, well, you know this about sugar. And she'll be like, wait, back up. No one ever told me something like that. What are you talking about? And I'd be like, oh, well, okay. So then I'll talk to her some more and I'm realizing as fitness people, we just get removed from it and we forget that people don't know these things. So I took a long time off because I used to stream on Twitch all week, every week, but I took time off to deal with health issues when I got diagnosed with cancer. So I was like, I have to take time. So I just stepped back, but I want to go back because I'm realizing that my audience is craving. My audience, listen to me. Oh my God.
You have an audience. You have an audience. Nothing to be ashamed of. You have an audience.
And it's okay. The audience, the people, they want to know more about cosplay stuff, like making stuff, but they also notice that myself being as a fitness perp and is right or whatever, they're like, share some of this fitness stuff with us. What are you doing? Share some of this. And I'm thinking, but you already know everything. They're like, oh no, we don't. So when I do go back to streaming, it'll be my way of getting back into doing more hardcore fitness stuff, because I'm realizing that people want to know. And you know what I realized also? Instagram brought on what I'm going to call an entire surgence of like the fake fitness pro thing.
Yes. I was going to ask you about this because before social media, the proof was in looking at somebody right in front of you. Now there's about 15
or something.
Yes, and there's about 15 filters I can use, and then I can tell you I'm a fitness expert and take these supplements which have never been tested. And
or like people all they would do is they would take a picture in fitness wear, Photoshop the crap out of it, and then say, "Oh, I'm selling meal plans, buy this." And I'm like, "Okay." There was too much false information being thrown around, and then treated like it was real information, and it was perpetuating. And for a lot of fitness people, it was truly frustrating the past few years with social media fitness, because you'd have the real people who know what they're talking about mixed in with the Instagram fitness people. And there are some Instagram fitness people who really know what they're talking about, but there's a huge contingency of just they look really, really good and I want to look like them, so I'm going to buy everything they tell me to buy and do everything they tell me to do, even though they themselves have never trained anyone other than themselves. That's not a fitness professional. They've only worked with one person themselves. So I think those people should stay more on the, I'm going to tell you what I did. I'm going to tell you how to stay motivated and how to get in there and do it. But they really don't have that sort of, it drives me crazy when I see someone who's been working out for like a month giving people fitness advice. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
There should be a law.
No, there should be, because it's and it people see one thing and they say, I want that. And like, even the people that wanted to have like a nice butt or whatever, there's no exercise that's going to, I know this even, that there's no one exercise that's going to give you a nice butt if you're eating pizza for breakfast and soda all the time and no water. Like,
I always say you can't out exercise a really crappy diet. You can't. I used to train, but I don't train people anymore, but I used to train people, I trained people starting when I was like 16 years old. And I remember I had this one client who used to walk in and be like, oh, here's my workout so I can earn that blue cheese cheeseburger. And I'm like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. It all has to come together. It all has to, I'm not saying you can't treat yourself. I'm like, have your treats, live, you have one life. Nobody wants to starve and eat lettuce and grilled chicken every day, all day. But you can't think that because I'm going to the gym, working out with a trainer twice a week means that I can now eat whatever I want. I think people don't realize have a disconnect with that part.
Well, and if they're trying to achieve certain, goals. Now, I don't have that. Since we're in the personal parallelogram that we're in, I am just eating whatever I want and staying awake, because people only need to see this much of me. But I promise I will be calling you the day that they announce that the first convention is open that I feel safe going to. I'm going to have to call you, because I'm going to be like, okay, girl, they're turning everything back on. They're going to have to see the rest of me. What do I do?
You know what's funny? One of the most popular convention panels that I've done was one that was about fitness. It was at Florida SuperCon, and they decided why don't we have you host a panel that's about fitness and cosplay and stuff like that. Go ahead. And I was like, okay. It was like standing. I thought it would be like 5 people there. I was like, this is going to be nothing. It was standing room only. And I was like, people do want to know, but some people are sort of like, I don't want to look like an idiot asking a question. So I think they feel like I'm at a convention surrounded by my people and we all want to know. So I remember I had a friend who was at the time like Mr. Olympia. He came in and spoke to, and he walks in this big way. He freaking loved it because these people really wanted to know. They were like asking like the right questions, and he loved being able to talk about how to just get started. I mean, because like you were saying, there's really no one size fits all sort of thing with fitness, but there are certain tenets that everybody can use and should use if they're trying to get in better shape, and depending on where you want to go with it. I think one thing I see a lot of people abuse, and they should not, is, and they know, but they do it anyway, it's just sugar. Sugar's one of those things that just, it tastes so good. Look, you're talking to the woman who has like a box of licorice sitting over there on the table. It's one of those things where I realize, especially as I get older, that it just undoes everything I do. I can work out for like a month straight doing really good. If I go back on sugar, everything falls apart.
So do you eat no sugar at all, or is it a mixture of no sugar and no gluten? I'm just curious.
Well, okay, sugar for me is a treat.
Okay.
I don't like, the problem with a bag of gummy bears is if I open a bag of gummy bears, I'm going to eat the whole entire bag.
All
and if you
of
look
the gummy bears.
Servings, it's like 6 servings. I'm like 6 servings. That's 1 serving for me. So I just can't do it all the time. So I think people don't realize, I'm like, you don't have to cut everything out of your life. Life should be fun. It was life and living, especially now, putting things into perspective. Life is meant to be lived and enjoyed and stuff like that. But you really have to like be honest with yourself. Know where you want to go with your body. Like, are you looking to be a fitness competitor? That's a completely different thing. Or are you just trying to lose weight? Are you just trying to be healthier? Are you trying to put on weight? Like it depends on where you're starting and where you want to go with this. But in general, sugar, like simple sugars, candy, it's one of those things where I have to like save it for my weekend treat, because it just destroys me. And I've talked to my younger sister, who is a mom. I don't know if she's still in the chat, but she's a mom. She has the same problem. It
might even be hereditary. Wow.
What'd you say?
I said it might even be hereditary. That's fascinating. Really quick. I have 1 or 2 questions from the chat, and then I'm going to let you go, because you've been so gracious with your time and stuck around so long.
Thank you.
So D3UC3 says Alicia was in an amazing Chris Claremont X-Men documentary on Amazon Prime.
Oh.
I have seen that. And you were dressed as White Storm. I remember that. Chelly Bean says, how long was it before losing your hearing and getting the first cochlear implant? I think you said you were 22, right? Or in your 20s?
Oh my gosh, you understand? It was like, let me think, from getting my first implant, maybe 13 years. Yeah, maybe 13, 14 years.
13, 14 years.
A long
Okay.
time. Maybe, 13, 14. Yeah, I mean, it's well over 12 years, so it's like 13, 14. So I'm thinking like because my hearing declined, it didn't just go away. It was like hearing aids, and then when the hearing aids stopped being strong enough. So I'm thinking like going from the point of where my hearing was just, it was no longer, I couldn't do anything. That's definitely like 13 years, 14 years. Yeah.
Got it. Professor Argentum asks, after your first implant, during the recovery to hearing your first words again, what was the perception like when someone would speak to you?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. It's funny because everything that we've talked about, Karama, like could be a whole nother
thing. Could be. It could be.
It's like, oh my God. A lot of people ask this question, especially because I've been doing a lot of talking to prospective patients regarding cochlear implants, because people have questions and they want to know and they're scared. And that makes sense, because I was scared too. After you have the surgery, you can't really hear anything for like 2 weeks while your head heals. your head just heals, you know, because the hearing aid won't work anymore because your ear and brain don't hear like that anymore. So for like 3 weeks, that ear is just dead. It's gone. And then you go into the office and they connect you computer like a cyborg, and they turn you on. And I will say that I was, up until that point, I was completely skeptical. I was like, it's not going to work for me because nothing ever works for me. Like totally negative about it. It was really bad. And then they, Jace, my husband, started counting. They're like, when you hear him counting, tell us when. And so I saw his mouth. Like moving. And I was like, I don't hear him. I don't hear him. I don't hear him. I don't hear. And ooh. That's exactly how it went too. And I just heard beep, 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 boop, 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 beep, beep. And I was like, oh, what is going on here? I was like, that's all I hear are beeps and blips and beeps and blip. The weird things, that's all I really heard. And then they all started laughing in the office. And they said your brain's going to start interpreting the sounds and into words, because that's really all language is a bunch of noises. That's why that's why, you know, think about it, different languages. It's the noise becomes the word to us, sort of. You know what I mean? The word apple isn't really a word. It's just two sounds. Apple, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's fascinating.
So weird. It just became language over time. But when I first started hearing people, it was really weird. I was like, what is that? Oh, I was like, no.
That is fascinating. You're like, whatever this is, it sounds like a horror movie. I don't want it.
I didn't want it. I was like, I'm not. But they have like these exercises you have to do. Like they tell you have to watch Netflix with the captions on and the sound up so that your brain starts making the association between what it hears and what it sees.
That's incredible, because that's also kind of like how kids learn to speak and how people learn other languages.
Yes, exactly. That's it.
That is fascinating. So I'm going to ask you one more question and then we're completely done. But I would like you to give somebody who is kind of scared to cosplay, okay, it's me, advice on doing their first cosplay.
Really? When? I mean, the next convention that you feel safe going to?
Well, here's the thing. I think that a panorama is a perfect time to cosplay.
A scholastic is the best time to do.
Because
this is actually a really good time.
Honestly, I think I'm just going to start with Monica Rambeau because I think I have a gray blazer. And it's not going to take much. That's closet cosplay.
Yo, there's nothing wrong with a good closet cosplay. You can get your fire. Some of my best looks were just pulled out of my closet. And I'm like, oh well, I'll style this, have fun with it. But in general, if with any cosplay I do, I'll print out the picture of pretend this is the picture of the character, even though it's not. What the heck? I print out the picture of the characters in like color, and I'll pin it on the wall, and I'll just start breaking down all the pieces, starting with the top. So the first thing I'll save a picture of like I don't know, save a picture of Jean Grey. You start off and you're like, okay, she has red hair. What kind of hair do I want? Do I want straight hair? Do I want curly hair? Do I want to dye my own hair? Which I don't know. I like to wear good wigs. I don't like messing with my own hair at all. So I'll be like, okay, she's a red wig. Do I want to be red curly? Do I want red straight? What kind of hair do I want? Do I want synthetic hair? Do I want human hair? And then it's eye color. Contact lenses. Okay, contact lenses. That's cool. And then you work your way down like the outfit she has on, all the way down to the shoes. But start at the top because that's how you get the details in. I think that's what fans really appreciate more than perfect accuracy. It's just the details and artistic twist that you throw into the costume. Fans of the actual genre love that part.
That's actually amazing advice, and I'm going to take that advice. And I think I'm serious. I probably will do Monica Rambeau because it's simple, but I definitely would. I am on the hunt for. Did you see the new Doctor Who? Not the one that the one that just ended, but there was a black woman that was Doctor Who, Ruth. And when
That's
Ruth was
right.
revealed, right, I want to be her because I can twist my hair like that. But she had those amazing glasses. I got to find the glasses from working top down. I do the hair. I got to find the glasses. She had this beautiful blouse. I got to find the blouse. But the coat, I need to get this coat made. So I'm going to send you a picture and you tell me who can make me this coat. If it's not you, I will find somebody else. Because the coat is going to make it.
Yeah. Tailored coats and like ball gowns, that is way outside my wheelhouse. My sewing is not that good. But I definitely know people. I have friends in each sector that do those specialties. Like I have leather specialty friends. I hate working with leather. I hate it. But I have friends who are leather specialists, and I have friends who are tailors who work with like period piece gowns. Like that's what they do. I'm like, let people do what they do. I was like, I got your armor and like simple sewing, but they do those like, if I need like the Game of Thrones, if I need Cersei's gown, I'm not going to make Cersei's gown. No.
Look, I'm not doing this. Well, I just want to thank you so much for hanging out. I want to really thank Premium Geek, our team that has been translating for us all night. We are wrapping up right now. I know everybody's sleepy, but I just love talking to Alicia and Aliza and all of my guests. And thank you for hanging out. Please continue to support the show. I wanted to give more accessible shows like this, but I need your help to do that. So please check me out at theblerdgurl.com. I'm sorry, patreon.com/theblerdgurl. You can also check out theblerdgurl.com, but you can support me at patreon.com/theblerdgurl. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. And please tell a friend about the show. And we will be back next week.